Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. Today is all about Father's Day. So I'm going to be using some stamps and dies, some stencils. I'm using the lattice, the palm frond, the buffalo check, and is it the polka dot? I think it's the polka dot. And then of course we're revisiting the best parents ever. I use this for Mother's Day as well, so if you didn't pick it up then, we're back here revisiting it. I try to use supplies I already have. So I picked out an array of colors. You can use any cardstock that you have. What is this? This is the Concord 9th. Like rainbow pack or whatever. That's what I picked. I'll link it. If you are a parent, a wife, a significant other, and you're like, it is Saturday night and I need to make this Father's Day card because I have completely forgot to pick one up and all I have is 4 pieces of construction paper, my kid's old glue stick from school, and a regular pen. You can still make some of these cards. Just hang tight. You don't need all these supplies. But these are just to give you some ideas for Father's Day, but also for like general birthday or just general card designs that you can totally recreate really simply. So I'm cutting my cardstock down into some strips, and then I'm also cutting them, I'm cutting the strips down to 4 1/4, and then I am cutting them into squares. So that way I have a couple of different designs that I can do. These are also going to go into the store for me. So that is why I'm making so many. Plus, I have a lot of Father's Day cards that I need to disperse within my family. So if you normally watch my videos, you know that when it comes to stencils, I love my Tombow Mono multi-glue. This dries repositionable, so I put it on the back of my stencils, and then I wait for it to dry. Now I'm not globbing it on. And in fact, when I'm doing this lattice one, I'm not even squeezing it. I am literally just letting the glue drip out at its own pace as I run the tip of the glue dispenser across there. Once I have all the glue on and it's had time to dry, I do tap it on my hands a couple of times just to cut down on some of the stickiness. I don't want it to actually glue itself, which it will do if it's still wet. I just want it to be tacky, and that's why you see me doing this here. So once these are all done, and these are just the stencils that I hadn't used yet that I needed to do. Some people ask me how I store them. I literally just stick them to the outside of the packaging and then I peel them off when I need to. I've never had an issue with storing them like this. For the stencil portion of it, just because I wanted to add a little something to make them more interesting, I'm just doing tone on tone. So I picked distress ink colors that matched my cardstock, and I am going to be, all of them will just be tone on tone. So again, whatever cardstock you have, or maybe you have their favorite color. My husband's favorite color is red, and this one is for his Father's Day card. So just pick whatever you have. If you don't have stencils, you don't have distress ink, you're like, Kelly, I don't even know what you're talking about. I just need to make this 5-minute card to tell my husband that I think he's a fantastic dad, or tell my partner that I think he's a fantastic dad. That's totally cool. Get a marker. You got to have some Crayolas in the house, some Rose Arts, whatever you got. Get a marker out of your kid's stash, and then just use a ruler to do stripes, or you just draw wonky circles. It's going to be cut down, so because you're going to have the other like sentiment portion of it, the background is, as long as it's consistent, if you're consistently drawing wonky circles or you're consistently drawing stripes, it's going to look fine. So here, this is like the mustard colored. I tried to pick what I felt like was very dad patterns. So the large circles, the stripes. This one very, very much reminded me of like a Hawaiian shirt, which is such dad garb. Oh my gosh, I worked with this guy. I still actually work with him even at my new department because he left and then a year later I left and we ended up at the same department. But he always wears Hawaiian shirts and they are hideous. But he loves them, and that's like his signature thing. And if you got a dad in your life that's got a signature thing, this palm frond one is great. They're also really great for like backgrounds for flowers and stuff, but that's not what we're doing today. So here you can see that there is some stickiness that's left over. You can remove this with an adhesive eraser, or if you wait for it to completely dry, you can go in with make sure they're clean hands, otherwise you'll leave dirt on your card. Go in with clean hands and just kind of gently rub it off. This one, love this teal color. So pretty. I actually let Peanut pick out which cards he wanted, like before I put them together, which ones were going to go with which, and he actually chose this one for my dad's Father's Day card. So I am using the buffalo plaid stencil, just the stripe here, and then I'm just going to turn it to create this plaid. Since I was doing a tone on tone, I'm not going to be using the buffalo check portion of it. I'm just going to be doing a really simple plaid, and I'm not sure why Peanut picked this one, but this totally reminds me of my dad because he wore flannel shirts to work every day. Summer, spring, fall, winter, it did not matter. My dad was a pipe fitter from the time that he was 18 until he retired when he was 60, and he wore flannel shirts to work every day. Like whether they were like thin flannel, but they always had a flannel pattern. So this is so fitting for him. For the blue one, this lattice, I feel like some people would look at it and be like, it's a feminine type of stencil or type of pattern, but doing it tone on tone, to me, this totally looks like a tie pattern, like a pattern you would see on a tie that you might purchase. And since I am like pretty clean and simple and I like the tone on tone, this is totally something that I would buy my husband. And then the last one, I'm going to use the stripes again, but I'm going to use them at a diagonal, just because I felt like that would make it a little bit more interesting, and then I didn't have to pull out another stencil. Like I said, if you have a ruler and a marker that is in the same color, you can totally make these and it will be fine. The stencil obviously makes it easier. I think it makes it look a little bit cleaner, but if it's Saturday night, you're in a pinch for Sunday morning, you can make this work. I have faith in you. Believe in yourself. So once all the stenciling is done, then we're going to move on to the sentiments. And this is where, if you are a person who you're like, my 4 sheets of construction paper and my half a glue stick and my Crayola markers, you're probably going to have to handwrite your sentiment. I would recommend writing it at a diagonal. I would recommend using, or letting your kids write it. That's fantastic. And the reason that I would recommend doing that is because it's very hard if you don't like your handwriting, or if you're, not necessarily well versed in different ways to write things. Like, I mean, I doodled that stuff when I was in high school, like bubble letters and things like that. So I would be fairly confident in my ability to do it, even though I don't like my handwriting. But if you're not, writing at a diagonal or writing with letters that are 2 different sizes, like alternating them, gives a look that is wonky but intentional, so you don't have to worry about it being perfectly straight. I knew that I wanted to use these little 1-inch squares to create a kind of like a color blocked look. And so here, because I'm lazy and I don't want to do exact measurements, I just laid out 6 squares so that I could see where I needed to trim my paper. And this ended up being 2 1/4 by, I cut it at 3 1/2, but it really should have been, or I'm sorry, I cut it at 3 3/4, but it really should have been at 3 1/2. I was just a little bit nervous that I was going to have too much, or I wasn't going to have enough space to leave the white gap. Now, the Laura Basson, I love the Laura Basson, and these cards are right up a Laura Basson alley, like channeling my inner Laura. She does really beautiful cards, very similar to this, but she places her squares individually. I ain't got time for all that, y'all. It ain't me. Laura has like the patience of Job, that woman. To put down her cards into like her little squares or stripes or whatever individually. I'm just going to glue mine to a white piece of cardstock, and then I'm going to pop up that piece of cardstock. For me, that's just faster and easier, and I don't hate my life. So that's really what the goal I am looking for. So you saw I cut these at 1 and 1, and then that gave me it was like a 1.5 by 1 inch piece that was left over, I'm going to use that too, because I'm not going to waste my supplies. And like I said, I had to make so many cards, enough to stock the store that I'm selling my cards in. Some of you had asked me, how that was going. It's going I'm going to be honest with you. It's just going So the first month we made $16. The second month we made $30. But the rent for the shelf is $50. So far, it's still costing me money. I did say I would go for the full 3 months. Eric thinks we should go for 6. I'm not really sure if I'm going to commit to 6 or not, because like I said, I'm losing money and I may be better off selling them online versus in this store. So we'll see. We'll revisit that. Here, we're going to use these little stripes. Now, these little stripes don't have any pattern on them at all. They don't even require stencils. It's just strips of color. In order to get the colors where like it's an even diagonal, I'm going to start by adhering my stripes that are the midhole colors first, because this is going to make sure that my design is even, since all of them are cut at 1/4 inch. They're the same size. I'm going to have these 2 in the middle, and then I'll have 2 on each side. So that way everything's directly down the middle. And this card design, I ended up using it horizontally, but you certainly could use it vertically as well. Just whatever kind of works for you. So, story time. Because we're going to be doing just a lot of gluing. That's what we're doing here, folks. A lot of gluing. So I did not tell this story when it happened. This happened like a month ago, because we had all these things that, we got COVID and Nathan's birthday and it was everything else. So you guys know, if you have children, it's really hard to schedule date nights, and you don't ever really have the opportunity to do that. So I had wanted to schedule something for Eric and I so that we could have a little date night, with the idea that it was really going to be a night for him. I was planning it as a night for him. I know that I'm more of a homebody. My husband likes to go out more often than I do. And so I try to be conscientious of that, because even though I don't want to go out, like, that is a need that he has to be met. So I started looking in our area, and I had found, back to the cards real quick. So for this one, I'm just going to do a vertical stripe. Again, you could use this landscape or portrait, horizontal or vertical, whichever way works for you. And this would be another one that would be a really good one for handwriting your sentiment. Start with whatever side you're starting on, the left or the right, whichever you're into. Start with the last color, so that way you can know that all of your colors will fit on there, and then you just leave as big as a gap on the left or right hand side as you want. So I started looking around in our area and seeing what was going on. This was like way back in April, and I had found that there was a concert that was coming in May. It was James Arthur, and our wedding song is Say You Won't Let Go. So he sings our wedding song, and I was like, oh, well, that would be fun. We, used to go to concerts all the time. And so that would be something that I thought he would enjoy. Plus, he likes going downtown. Oh, I don't like the downtowns at all. I don't like the downtowns. But my husband loved the downtowns. So you do what you got to do for the people you love. Here for this one, I'm kind of doing like just a deconstructed type one. This is another one that would be an excellent candidate for handwriting your sentiment. If you don't have, stamps or dies that you want to use, because it gives you a great open space in the center to just go ahead and write that in there. So I find that I buy tickets to that, and when I was young, I used to buy standing room only tickets because, I would stand through the whole concert. I'm old now. I'm old. I have babies. My back hurts. I don't want to stand for 3 hours in a concert. And I'm so glad that I ended up buying the seated portion. It was like the upstairs of the House of Blues, because of the way that the night went. But anyway. So I make reservations at the Butcher and the Brewer, because that sounds like something my husband will love. Meat and beer. He's here for it. And so I make reservations there. It's really right down the street from the House of Blues. We had a beautiful weather night. I get my mother-in-law as a sitter, and we're off to the races. Now, I was a little bit apprehensive because I knew that we were going to have to be downtown by like 5:30 because the concert started at 7. So in order for us to have enough time to eat dinner and then make our way over to the concert, that we needed to leave. But he normally doesn't get home from work from 5:30 or till 4:30. So like he's walking in the door and we're walking out the door is basically how it's going to go. But it is what it is. So when I call for the reservation, she tells me, I was like, well, I'm looking at like 5:30. And she was like, nah, you want to come at like 6:30. Here I am doing my die cutting. This, if you have not seen it before, is the Bitty Buzzy die cut. It die cuts 3x3s, and this is super nice for like traveling or for me, I can never put my die cut machine in the frame because it's just too big. So this is super nice for me to be able to show in the video that like I actually do my own die cutting. But nonetheless, I am going to be cutting copious amounts of white Dad and Father's Day or Fathers out of my cardstock so that I can stack them. And then for some of them, I'm also going to cut out a shadow from that gray cardstock. So when I call, she's like, now you want to come at like 6 because all these people are going to be lined up out the door. The concert doesn't start until like, they're not going to open the doors to let people in until 6:30. And there's no way they open the doors at 7. The concert's not starting at 7. And I was like, okay, like she clearly works right around the corner. I believe her. So we get ready. It's a gorgeous night. We head downtown. Parking is always a thing. We're lucky we're able to find parking. And then we walk, we parked across the street. So we walk across the street. We walk in. They're like, do you want to sit on the patio or you want to sit inside? We chose to sit on the patio because it's got like a whole vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all these like lights and people walking by in different restaurants. And, that's what he likes. That's how he does. We're from two different places in life, and that's something that he enjoys. So when we walk in, I tell them, they take us to our table, and then they explain to us that there is no menu. There's no menu, y'all. There's no menu. They are small plates only, and you have to scan this piece of paper at the table. You have to scan the QR code with your phone, which if you don't know what a QR code, it's just like a little square that has metadata in it, and then your phone scans it with your camera. It brings up the menu, and then you don't even you don't tell your server what you want. You literally order it off your phone. The table is like a little, what do they call them? I can't remember. Like it's like a diner type seat. It's just 2 seats and one small round table. And they have small plates. That's how you order. It's a store of appetizers. So we were like, okay. And Eric starts laughing. He was like, your father would hate this so much. Your dad would not even eat here. And I was like, you are 100% correct. He wouldn't. He would get up and walk out if he had to order off of his phone. So nonetheless, we pull it up, and there's all sorts of interesting things on the menu. This is a very hipster bar. And again, let me reiterate, not my scene. And then Eric tells me, which is hysterical, that it's not really his scene either. He was like, this is not, I'm not into the hipster thing. And I was like, dude, but is meat and beer is your thing. And he was like, yeah, I get why you picked it. And he was like, it was not a bad place. The food was really good, but it was just very strange. So we ordered soft pretzels. He ordered some taco type things. What else did we order? I ordered sliders so I wouldn't starve to death. This is funny. So I ordered sliders so I wouldn't starve to death. But this didn't really seem like a place where I could be like, extra cheese, no onion. Can I get some ketchup? Because I don't have a server. So I see on the menu, that they have corn dogs. I don't even like corn dogs, y'all. I mean, like, if I was starving to death, would I eat them? Yes. But the corn dogs come with a side of ketchup. Can I just tell you that I bought these corn dogs so that I could have this ketchup because I didn't feel like I could order a side of ketchup? Yes, that happened. Yes, it did. Fortunately, my husband will eat the corn dogs. So we order a bunch of different stuff. One of them's like a salad. And our table is rapidly filling up with these plates. The server that we had that brought us our beverages, which PPS, I think I paid $4 for a can of Sprite. I'm not even kidding you. 69-cent can of Sprite, $4. Yes, we did. Because I'm not trying to get his night down. You know what I mean? It's not work. I'm just going to make it work because I love him, not because I actually want to eat at this particular place. So we get done with dinner, which the food was it was very good. Our server was a very nice lady. And we have some time to kill because the line for House of Blues is still out the door. So here in the card, we're actually just stamping the sentiments. So some of them I did die cuts and some of them I just stamped. And so these particular ones I chose to just go ahead and stamp them down. Just so that there was some variety, I guess, in the card. Now I'm going to go through and start stamping the rest of the sentiments. So like the dad and the fathers are die cuts, but I still need the happy in the day and the best in the world to complete those sentiments. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm stamping these and then I'm going to cut them into labels. So after we get done there, they did not have dessert, which if you guys know me, you know that I pick my restaurant based on my dessert because if I'm going out to dinner, I want dessert. If I'm at home, I want dessert. Anytime I want dessert is basically I want the option for dessert. So Colossal Cupcakes, I think is what it is like right around the corner from where we were. So we walk around the corner, and what did he get? He got a macaroon and I got... What did I got a cookie. Oh, I did get a cookie and it was a good cookie. It was like a peanut butter chocolate cookie. It was really delicious. But while we're there, I realized that like I'm going to have to hit the bathroom. And there's still a line out the door for House of Blues. And I was like, we just had dinner at this place. Do you think I can just go back there and use the bathroom? And Eric's like, our waitress is still outside. I'm sure you could just ask her where the restroom is. So we go back to the restaurant. I ask her where the restroom is, and she says to me, it's a little bit strange. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you just go in, it's in the middle, down the stairs, and then it's to the right. So now I think to myself, she thinks it's strange that it's downstairs, right? Like she says it's a little bit strange, and I'm like, oh, because it's in the basement. Is that what she's referring to? Here in the card, I am building my card. So I am gluing all of the pieces, parts down, and then I'm going to pop the whole thing up on foam. Gluing it first just makes it easier to handle all of the little finicky pieces. So I'm like, okay, thank you. I walk into the restaurant. I go down the stairs. I see the bathroom. The bathroom is an open room. It's an open room. There's no doors into the restroom. And there is a sink in the middle that is a bathtub. It's a bathtub sink with like all of the exposed like piping, and it's a community bathroom. So on the right, there's individual stalls that are for men, and on the left, there's individual stalls that are for women. Is what I'm gathering from what I'm seeing. But there's no actual signage on the door. So it's just pretty much a large community bathroom. Now, family bathrooms, community bathrooms, I don't know what's happening. We have to go back to the card. So here, for the majority of the cards, I did choose to just pop up the center sentiment. Like, I put the sentiment on and then I popped up the piece that we stenciled. But this is just another way that you can do it. So here I've lined it up at the bottom, and then I'm going to use a thinner strip of that gray to kind of cap off the top so that it's more of it follows that visual thirds. So I have a little bit of gray, which is my, what, gallon, pint, quart. So my teal is the gallon, the gray is the pint, and the white is the quart. No, switch that. Yeah, gallon is the teal, the pint is the white, and the quart is the white. Forget about it. People were moving on. Let it go. Anyway, there's a lot of something, a little of something, and a tiny amount of something. That's the rule. That's what we're following. So anyway, I am uncomfortable with the bathroom simply because I like to run the water when I go to the bathroom. It's a habit that I have gotten into. I know it's not earth conscious, but that's what I do. I run the water while I go to the bathroom. There is no way to run the water in this community bathroom tub. I don't like it. So I go into my very teeny tiny little stall. I take care of what I need to take care of. And like then coming out of the bathroom, fortunately it was just me and another woman. So I didn't really have any issues. And I'm not saying that the idea of it, like I'm perfectly fine with having a family bathroom or having a community bathroom that everybody uses. I just don't want to use the bathroom at the same time everybody else is. Does that make sense? Like, it's fine if you want a bathroom that's available for everyone. I just don't want to be in there with everyone. Like, I don't want basically somebody using the restroom at the same time that I am using the restroom and then having to come out and make eye contact with this man. Does that make sense? So, needless to say, I go back upstairs. I tell Eric about my experience. We make our way over to the House of Blues. They seat us. He's like, I'm going to get a drink because I know that, like, I'm going to go get a water. I know that, we're going to be sitting here for a minute or whatever. Here in the card, I decided to heat emboss some of these white on the gray just because I felt like it matched the card design better. And so he comes back with, I think he had a beer. And he was like, they don't have water. And I was like, what? He was like, they literally do not sell water. And I was like, okay. So then a little while later, I went back up to the bar because I needed something to drink. And I bought a Sprite for $2. The Sprite at the House of Blues was actually cheaper than the can of Sprite that I purchased at the restaurant. Which I got to say, there's something messed up about that. But anywho, it ended up being a very good night, even though it was running late. It was running very, very late, and I was not a big fan of that. So there was like a good hour gap in between the headliner and the person that was opening for them. Like, we were just sitting there waiting. So that I was not a big fan of. But spending the evening with my husband was wonderful. Just a little weird bathroom situation. So now, these are the cards that we have made here. We have made quite a few. I hope that it gives you some ideas for not just Father's Day, but any just general cards that maybe you need to make, and maybe some, sets or stencils that maybe you would want to have on hand to create something like this. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I hope that all of the dads out there have a wonderful Father's Day this weekend, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.